This is something related. The presidency has written to Aljazeera to apologize to the president and the government of Ghana about a documentary in which, per the details of the president's statement or the letter to Aljazeera, they had prior knowledge of and raised concerns about some specific areas of this said documentary, but that was not amended. We'll get into the details of the presidency statement, but this is just a piece of that documentary, which we would show to you as we go on. But the specific concerns that the presidency raised about the details of this report, we would put on the screen shortly. And this is what the presidency wrote to Al Jazeera, that this is signed by the secretary to the president, Nana Asante Bediatu. It says that in those circumstances, further and better particulars were demanded from Al Jazeera to respond adequately to the allegations made in Al Jazeera's letter. Al Jazeera was thus requested to provide information on the period for which the president allegedly provided legal representation to Alistair Mathias or his company, Goldrest Resources. Furthermore, Al Jazeera was requested to provide details of the $100 million tender for state infrastructure allegedly given to Mr. Mathias, which he outsourced and kept a percentage in offshore accounts, as stated in the letter, as well as information on how the president personally benefited unlawfully from the alleged $100 million tender for state infrastructure. This is what the presidency wrote requesting of Al Jazeera as required. Al Jazeera refused or failed to provide these details as requested and went ahead with the broadcast of the documentary. At the end of the documentary, a text was shown contradicting the content of the documentary. Additionally, it goes on, the subject of the documentary, Alistair Mathias, denied what he said in the documentary to Al Jazeera's investigative journalists. In light of these blatant denials by Mr. Alistair Mathias and the response from Mr. Isuman, those parts of the documentary ought not to have been included because the statements were not true. And they make reference to the statements contradicting the earlier one by Alistair Mathias himself. Accordingly, those parts of the documentary are malicious, defamatory, and a calculated attempt to tarnish the reputation of the president and the government of Ghana. And that's where they go on to demand that that be effected and also acknowledged. These are the specific concerns that the presidency has raised about this particular documentary. Now, this comes on the heels of Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng's leaked report as well. Would you also support that call by the NDC and others, not just the NDC, for a national or bipartisan probe into this issue as well, beyond the concerns that the presidency has raised on this? Mr. Glover.
Thank you very much, Alfie. I'm a trained stringer at a time in Tema during my days of trade unionism and the Ghana Labour College. My lecturer was Yabudwa Yobua, the current chairman of the National Media Commission, Mr. Amegaibo, then the general manager for Ghana News Agency. Journalism, we are taught that we need to have a balanced and fair reportage. These are lawyers with me in your studio that if you are reporting about somebody, the onus is on you to give that person an opportunity to hear his side of whatever you want to publish or write about him. But this is an international journalist engaging somebody to speak so maliciously and wickedly against the President of the Republic. Per what you have read to us, that Mr. Bidiutu wrote to Al Jazeera, that they were able to point out certain informations that they drew the attention to it. The most wicked of all, or the fact that the president has assisted him to secure a contract valued about $100 million, and the president has personally benefited from it. An international media, and you went to bed to make these serious recriminations and attack on the president, and he's saying that, look, what you are saying, we are giving you the opportunity, give it those information we have, give it to us for us to respond. You didn't say anything about it. And because you have an agenda to attack the persona of the president, you see the NDC has gone to bed and they're running route with it. That's calling him all kinds of names. And you see the way Sami will jump into that. Calling him all kinds of names. But in any case, you have not treated the president fairly. You have not. So now, the secretary to the president has written to Al Jazeera. And when you read what you said, he said, at one point, the lister Mathias came back to apologize for what he has done.
Why so they contradicted an earlier submission, specifically on this particular point about the presidency.
So nobody put gun on his head when he was making all those recriminations against the president. Then later, what came to mind for him to come and make the apologies? Do you understand? The retraction is very important. The medium that the Al Jazeera used to make that broadcasting, he must use that same medium to make that retraction and make that apology. I don't see any investigation here. Somebody who's being interviewed, he said he's doing gold business or whatever, and he went ahead and said all kinds of things against me. Sitting here, if somebody comes to attack me in Ikwate here, you have not come to listen to my side, and you go to bed, you go public and start broadcasting about me. I have a right to refer you to my lawyers to take action against you. But in terms of democracy, knowing President Akufo-Addo, all we need to do is that all the insults and attacks against him, he has not referred anything to court. All he asks you, maybe media commission, write to all those involved, retract and apologize, then we'll move on. It is so painful that you have an international media house like Al Jazeera and the gentleman Mathias, Mathias, for him to make all those comments or those commentary about the president and go scot-free. I think that it is legit, it is appropriate that they will retract and make that apology, then we'll move on.
So that call for a national probe beyond this to establish beyond reasonable doubt, for instance, which contract was won, and also the issues relating to this particular individual.
That is why the secretary to the president has written to him, give us. You said we'll give, provide it. Provide it, you should share to the public. We want to know, where is that contract that you mentioned about? Which year? What contract was that?
Jemfi, you earlier called for a probe into this matter as well. The fundamental questions that are being raised here by the presidency, and indeed Titus Glover, is the further detail beyond what this gentleman has said. Details about which specific contract was given, and then also there is this information about Alistair Mathias getting into this country on record as 2009, was arrested in 2014, and then some allegations of his involvement in money laundering and so on. Would you support that demand for further detail beyond what is captured in this particular documentary?
Thank you, Alfred. I'm not sure that my senior brother, Honorable Titus Glover, has watched the Gold Mafia documentary of Aljazeera, which is what we are discussing today. Because he's totally gotten it wrong. Totally gotten it wrong.
What do you mean?
You see, what are we discussing? We are talking about a reputable international media agency, Aljazeera, which decides that, look, gold smuggling and money laundering has been the bane of many African countries. And so we want to investigate the mafia behind these serious crimes, expose them, and ensure that that canker is nipped in the bud. Okay? And so they get their reporters to pose as businessmen, investors with money, looking for people to help them launder the money through gold trading and so on. And so they go to a gentleman called Mathias, a Canadian citizen, who they suspected as one of the architects, masterminds of this whole gold smuggling and money laundering scheme in Africa. They go to him and they propose or they request that he assist them, launder illegal money and so on. And this Mathias tells them that, look, what you are asking for is very easy. I can do it for you. And that I've done that in many African countries, including Ghana. And that in Ghana, I smuggle 1 ton of gold worth $40 million out of the country every month. And that I am able to do that because the President of the Republic of Ghana is my friend. And that he is even my lawyer. And then he goes on to tell these investigative journalists from Al Jazeera, who were posing as investors, that, look, what I have even been doing for corrupt officials in Ghana, in this Akufo-Addo government, is that they award me inflated projects, inflated contracts. I subcontract the projects to another contractor at a lower realistic fee. Then the padded amount is shared between us. Mm-hmm. It was at that point that he spoke about the $100 million contract that was given him by this government, which he subcontracted to another entity at $80 million, made a staggering $20 million profit for no work done, and which, according to him, he kept $5 million and gave $15 million to his collaborators in the Akufo-Addo government. Now, Alfred, there is no doubt about the fact that this Mathias is a person who operates many businesses in Ghana.
You operate many businesses in Ghana?
Yes. He owns the company called Goldrest, which to date is engaged in gold buying and gold exports in Ghana. He operates a company called Mathias Holdings with many dealings in Ghana.
They are on record. They
operate in Ghana.
In Ghana.
Yes.
You have records on them.
My brother, Prez is a company in Ghana owned by Mathias. Mathias Holdings, same, as you just indicated. Even in 2024, his business partner called Henry Osei reported him to the Ghana police. 2014, for defrauding him and all that. So this is somebody
So this is a person who got in 2009.
Alfred, I'm coming here. You let me make my point. So there is no question about that. In what serious country will a foreigner operating businesses in that country be caught on tape, confessing that he smuggles gold worth $40 million out of the country every month? He is awarded inflated contracts by government and that he shares the inflated amounts with his collaborators in government and so on. In what serious country will such issues be swept under the carpet or ignored? Because the person is not a ghost. The person exists in Ghana. And these are his own confessions. Any reasonable mind, any patriotic mind should want an investigation into this matter. The only people who are against investigations into this matter are the ones who know that they will be exposed if investigations are conducted. Because if I was mentioned by Aljazeera Mathias as his friend in the documentary, I will call for investigations so that my name will be cleared. I will call for investigations so that I can have the opportunity to show that I don't know him from anywhere. I have not awarded him any inflated contracts. Once you see that the people who have been named are finding ways, okay, to resist calls for investigations, then you know that they have something to hide. That is number one. Again, I said that my brother has not watched the documentary and that he's gotten the entire thing wrong because, you see, if you watch the documentary and you read a letter from the president, you will realize that Aljazeera has done nothing wrong in this matter. You are a journalist. You've been practicing journalism for years, right, Alfred? Mm-hmm. When you are doing an investigation and a third party is mentioned, what is expected of you as a journalist? You are supposed to seek the response or the comment of that third party who has been mentioned in the report. Is that not what you're supposed to do? Get a side of the story and incorporate a side of the story in your publication. That is where your responsibility ends.
There's also another responsibility of fact-checking as well.
Fact-checking as well.
Yes.
So, Aljazeera conducts this investigation. They capture Aljazeera Mathias on tape talking about the fact that the president is his best friend, he's his lawyer, these are the crimes the president assists him to do in Ghana and all that. Then they write a letter to the president and say, we are done with our investigations. This is what Aljazeera has said about you. We are enjoined by the ethics of our profession to give you a hearing. What is your response? And then the president says, the president has an opportunity. He's a lawyer. He has an opportunity to categorically deny the allegations or to admit. He knows that in law, equivocation can amount to admission under some circumstances. And listen to what the president said. Paragraph 2 of the letter signed by Nana Santibediye to Executive Secretary to the President to Aljazeera. He says, the documentary in question made baseless claims against the President. He said the documentary in question made baseless claims that the President acted as a lawyer for one Aljazeera Mathias and implied that the President personally benefited unlawfully from an alleged $100 million state infrastructure contract purportedly awarded to Mr. Mathias. In his letter dated 11th April 2023, responding to Aljazeera's letter of 2nd April 2023. So Aljazeera first wrote to them, and they were responding on the 11th. Which was received on 6th April 2023, containing these vague and defamatory allegations. The legal counsel to the president, Mr. Cole Abaka Esuman, acting on the instructions of the president, informed Aljazeera that the president had not been in private practice since the year 2000, and that the president had no recollection of acting as a lawyer, either personally or through his law firm, Prez Akufo-Addo and Co., for a Mr. Aljazeera Mathias or his company, Goldtrust Resources. So two responses there. Number one, the president has no recollection. Do you understand? He doesn't remember on Kai. That is equivocation. If you are asked a categorical question, do you know Aljazeera Mathias? Are you his friend? Have you been his lawyer? Have you assisted him to commit crimes against your own republic? And your answer is, I don't remember. Alfred, if you were asked that question, would that be your answer? Your answer would have been a categorical no. Titus Glover.
So was in office, have you ever been caught up
as a person or whatever? If Titus Glover was asked this question by Aljazeera, that Aljazeera Mathias says that you are his friend and that you assist him to engage in money laundering and goods smuggling, what would have been his answer? I don't remember. Or I don't recollect. He would have said no. The president, you see, lawyer Martin Pebu is senior to me. He knows that once you have a witness in the box under cross-examination, you ask him one question, he says, I don't remember. You ask him a yes or no question, he says, I have no recollection. You know that the person is hiding something, the person is lying.
That's the second
answer. Hold on. This answer is not a denial. The president has not been able to deny that he doesn't know him. He says he doesn't remember, meaning that it can be true that he knows him from his own answer. That's number one.
That's the second part of that.
I am coming to the second part,
which is
he has not been in legal practice.
That either personally or through his law firm,
Alfred,
or
you
his
don't
company.
break me.
No,
I'm flowing, so allow me. I'm dealing with the second step by step.
I just wanted to.
Yes.
You see, because the first part you make reference to, there's a second part that follows as well,
Please.
and that president has no recollection of acting as a lawyer, either personally or through his law firm.
Yes, and then he goes on to say what? So, Alfred, let me make the point. The answer is in twofold. Number one, he says he has no recollection of being a friend to the guy or acting as his lawyer. On Kai, he is not saying it's not true. He says he doesn't remember. And I don't remember can mean that it is true or it is not true. The more reason why we must probe the matter. Then number two, he says he has never been in active practice since 2000, which is a lie. I will show you why it is a lie. I will demonstrate to you why that is a lie. And when you see people indicted in such matters lying, you know that they are hiding something. Look, President Akufo-Addo became Attorney General in 2001 to 2005. Became Foreign Minister from 2005 to 7th January 2009. Between 2009 to 2016, who can say that President Akufo-Addo, then in opposition, was not practicing law? Who can say that? President Akufo-Addo in December 2021, Google it. It's on public record to have said that the current Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Dame, is his protege. And that he is proud of Godfrey Dame because he trained Godfrey Dame as a young lawyer in his law chamber, Akufo-Addo Prempeh. When was Godfrey Dame called to the bar? 2003. How could Akufo-Addo have trained Godfrey Dame in his chamber if he was not practicing law after 2000? Because Godfrey Dame became a lawyer in 2003. And this Akufo-Addo says, Godfrey Dame is my protege. I trained him in my chamber. Listen, he is a lawyer, he will tell you. The fact that a lawyer doesn't go to court for courtroom litigation does not mean that the lawyer is not in private practice. The fact that you don't go to court for courtroom litigation, I don't go to court for courtroom litigation because of my work as communication officer of the NDC. But it doesn't mean that if Titus Glover has an issue with his business partner, I cannot act as his personal lawyer.
So if somebody says that, if somebody says Sami Jevi is my lawyer, what does it mean? You have a direct legal relationship with that person.
And this is Mathias saying that the man is my lawyer. And their answer is that we don't remember, which in effect is a partial admission that they can be true. Then they say that he has not been in active practice since the year 2000. And I'm saying that cannot be true because Godfrey Dame was called to the bar in 2003. And you, Akufo-Addo, you say you are proud of Godfrey Dame because you trained him as a young lawyer in your chamber. Till date, Akufo-Addo is still a partner of Akufo-Addo Prempeh. The name has not changed. He's a partner. When did he resign as a partner of Akufo-Addo Prempeh? So they are lying to cover their tracks. This is the same way they swept other serious bribe collection scandals involving the president and the vice president under the carpet, and you, the media, allowed them to go scot-free. You recall the number 12 expose, where Anas, the man that President Akufo-Addo said he believes in him so much, said that he will use his principle to fight corruption whilst he was in opposition, caught a friend of the president, former president of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantakyi, on tape, extorting bribes from supposed investors. You swept it under the carpet. You said it was mere influence peddling. Bawumia was also caught on tape. I mean, serving Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Adubuain, caught on tape, collecting bribes in the form of appearance fee, $250,000 per investor, for and on behalf of Bawumia. That one to influence peddling. Even before that, the MPP's own Kennedy Akompre Japan is on public record to have stated that people were extorting bribes from investors and businessmen at the presidency. Titus Glover, don't you remember? $10,000, $20,000 gate fees before you see the president or the vice president. Kennedy Japan has said this before this Aljazeera Mathias Gold Mafia matter came out, before number 12 came out, before appearance fee scandal involving Bawumia came out. When it comes out, we say, oh, mere speculation. Mere influence peddling. How come that these two gentlemen, Alhaji Bawumia and President Akufo-Addo, are always coming up in bribery scandals, corruption scandals? How come? It cannot be a mere coincidence. It cannot be mere speculation. And if they are innocent as they claim, they should rather be calling for a probe. Now, you know what? My hands are clean. I don't know Aljazeera Mathias from anywhere. So let's probe. Aljazeera Mathias came into Ghana 2009 to 2010. Let's look at the companies he owns. Let's look at all the contracts that has been awarded to his company. Let's check whether the contract sums were inflated or not. Let's check whether he subcontracted those contracts or not. That is what any serious country would have done by now. And you are saying that even though the guy operates businesses in this country, we should ignore his own confession of crimes against the state. Only his accomplices will be interested in such a cover-up. And then you know the very laughable claim they make. They say, oh, Aljazeera Mathias himself withdrew the comments he made. Maza, understand it carefully. The man was investigated and caught on tape by investigative journalists belonging to Aljazeera. He disclosed all his criminal activities in Ghana, South Africa, and other African countries. He didn't know that he was being recorded. So he was just telling them everything. After the entire investigative work, Aljazeera then wrote a letter to him that, you know what, we are not investors, so we are investigative journalists with Aljazeera. So all the things, this is the letter, all the things you told us, we have it on tape and we are bringing it out. Do you have anything to say? They say, oh, I'm sorry. All the things I said were lies. And you people want us to believe that belated denial after the man knows that he has been caught on tape. Even Atayi, when he was caught, he pleaded not guilty. Go to Nsawam and see. The criminals there, how many of them, even in the face of glaring evidence of criminality, pleaded not guilty? A criminal will obviously deny his crime when he knows that he has been exposed. So please, let us not sweep this matter under the carpet. It is in the interest of President Akufo-Addo, his handlers, and his supporters like Titus Glover to be leading this call for a probe, so that if the president is indeed innocent, his name will be cleared and his integrity will be upheld. The reason why they are lying, president does not remember, president has not practiced law since 2000, and all that, means that they know that the man is not clean, and that a truly credible bipartisan probe on this matter will expose him hands down.
So if a national probe is instituted and it comes out with something contrary to the position you have taken, then what next?
That means I will be a proud Ghanaian. I will know that my president doesn't deal with gold smugglers. I will know that my president doesn't deal with money. Ghana has been blacklisted by the international community on money laundering, don't you know? You think that this expose does our credibility and reputation, image as a nation any good in the Committee of Nations? Today, when you are traveling across the country, look at the way they suspect you because of some of these things. And so if the investigations return a verdict that President Akufo-Addo is innocent, voila, we will all be happy. I will even pour powder on him. But the fact that the man is lying, I have not practiced law since 2000, when he claims to have trained Odame after 2003. The fact that you have been asked a simple question, do you know Aljazeera Mathias or not? You say, I don't remember. You don't remember saying. You should have told them it was a letter, right? So you should have told them, let me check from Akufo-Addo Pempe Nku. Mr. Pebu, if right now you are asked, has Sami Jenfi ever been your client? And even you don't remember, once it's a letter and you are not required to give an answer in the spare of the moment, you will say, let me check my records. That is what every lawyer went to sort to do.
In 2014, thank you. In
I would 2014, say, let me check the records.
In 2014,
he will check from Akufo-Addo whether there is a case file on this guy. Says, I don't remember. He doesn't remember, Ben.
In 2014, when Aljazeera was arrested,
do you know who his lawyer was?
His lawyer was Dennis Ejay Jumo.
No, that was not his lawyer. That was not his lawyer. That was not his lawyer.
He was the one who represented him in court.
It was not this lawyer. Let me educate you.
Dennis Ejay Jumo.
No.
So his lawyer. Let me read this publication. So the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service mounted an intensive search for Canadian residents
those who stood surety, not for those who stood surety
allegedly
for
duping
him.
a Ghanaian businessman $4 million on the pretext of supplying the businessman with gold. The suspect, Chief Executive Officer of MA Resources Limited, Aljazeera Jude Mathias, was arrested in June. This was in 2014 by the CID, that's a commercial crime unit of the CID, but was granted bail with 2 sureties while investigation continued. The suspect was asked to keep reporting to the police, but he jumped bail and returned to Dubai. Later, he was said to have called to explain that a civil case against him in Dubai was also pending and he needed to go there to answer the charges. He promised to return to Ghana within a week, but failed to do so. And all efforts by the police at the time, this was in 2014, to arrest him have so far proven futile. According to the director of the Commercial Crimes Unit, Superintendent Felix Mausi, the police had enforced the bond on the 2 sureties, Mustafa Bande, Mustafa and Joel Neti, and they would be put before court to produce the suspect. So these were the 2 sureties.
Yeah. So, Alfred,
that's different from the Dennis Ejejumor that I'm mentioning.
Yeah.
So
yes,
Dennis I just wanted to establish
was
that.
Lawyer for the sureties. And because Mathias went to Dubai to fight the matter there, because judgment had been entered against him and he wanted to set it aside in an appeal, the police went after the sureties. And the lawyer for the sureties was Dennis Ejejumor. But the lawyer for Alester Mathias was then Kulendi JSC, now Justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana. And this Kulendi JSC is also, and in fact, let me put it on record that there is no criminality in a lawyer representing a suspect. No criminality. Right. Every criminally accused person has a right to the best defense. He has a right to a lawyer of his choice. So lawyer Kulendi at the time did no wrong. But it is material. It's very material in drawing the connections because President Akufo-Addo is also on record to have said that he's proud of Justice Kulendi because he's one of his
But Dennis
proteges.
was working at Kulendi at law.
Yes. Exactly.
I just wanted
but he,
to
as a young
that.
lawyer, was representing the sureties, and Kulendi himself was representing Alester Mathias. Okay. And President Akufo-Addo says Kulendi is another protege who he trained in his chamber. And if you read the statement of the Venerable Martin Amidu, very experienced lawyer on this matter, he explains that, you see, it is not out of place for a senior.
Did I hear you saying Martin Amidu is what?
Oh, in law? In law, of course. Oh, please, senior, I beg you. But on law, legal matters, constitutional law, who doesn't know Martin Amidu's contribution to constitutional law? Senior, can I conclude? I beg you. I'm saying that, he's my senior at the bar, and when it comes to constitutional law, his contribution is invaluable. I might have raised issues with his credibility on other matters that is different from this. And I'm saying that Martin Amidu explains that it is not unusual for a senior lawyer to take a brief or a case and refer it to a junior lawyer, even in another chamber that he has confidence in. And under such circumstances, the layman client can view the senior lawyer who referred him to that young lawyer in another chamber as his main lawyer and can say so. So this matter, all we are calling for is investigation. Aljazeera has done nothing wrong. What our friends in the NPP are displaying is hypocrisy of the highest order, obvious hypocrisy, because you know why. Once upon a time, there was an issue of Ford gifts. A gift of Ford, a Ford vehicle to President Mahama. As useless as that matter was, as Shraj later found, these are friends in the NPP. At the time, Titus Glover was in Parliament for the NPP. They record Parliament from recess just to come and investigate this matter.
So you want a national probe?
This international issue, which has brought the name of Ghana into disrepute, which you should be interested in ascertaining the truth. You are here saying that an investigation is not necessary. It's because you know that President Akufo-Addo will be exposed.
Let me bring you in now. That they want a national probe into this matter. So the gentleman says President Akufo-Addo was his lawyer. The president, in his letter to Aljazeera, responds to that. That is not true, and no records of such a person or his company. He doesn't recollect. Or his chamber represented that.
I don't recollect.
Who should carry the burden of proof? I mean, reading this letter in a situation like this.
No, you see, let me get the context. Repeat, let me see.
So, this documentary captures this gentleman making these statements about the president being his lawyer and the contracts that he benefited from and so on. And the presidency's response to Al Jazeera.
They don't
Also
recollect.
saying he doesn't recollect either he or his chamber representing this gentleman.
Yes.
Where or who carries the burden of proof?
The
in
one
this
who
matter?
asserted it is Mathias. Mathias said the president is his lawyer, so he's the one who uttered it. So he carries his burden of proof.
So he has to prove
Yes.
beyond reasonable doubt that what he's saying is
No,
true.
when you use beyond reasonable, it's a technical term for us. So maybe prove convincingly.
Convincingly.
For the lay person, yes.
In the civil matter, it will be on the preponderance of probability.
But we don't want the technical term, so let's just use the normal language. Yeah, so it's Mathias who has to prove. You see, Al Jazeera, for them, like you said, this is an investigative piece. So they got him. The man was talking freely, talking like a canary. And then now that he found that it's an investigative piece, he's seeking to retract. But it's too late in the day. So he's the one who made the statement, and so he has to prove. Maybe what we should be looking at is that Al Jazeera opening itself up to defamation. I'm not in a position to say that yes, because we should know this is a huge media entity. They know what they are doing. You see, the president's letter shows that they had asked them not to air it.
Yes, because they point to the element of verification and fact-checking,
so but the point,
which is an element as well.
Leave that
in
for
journalism.
Al Jazeera. Yes, leave that. We don't know what they've done or have done. But the main thing I'm saying is that, you see, the president sent a letter to them. Please don't do it. And they have looked at everything. And they went ahead. After, look at it again. Al Jazeera, big international media outlet. The president says, look, don't air these aspects concerning me. They sit back, look at all the facts, and say, we will do it. And they do it. Master, Charlie, don't underestimate them. Don't underestimate them. This is not a small media outlet. Don't underestimate them. They knew what they're doing, and they've done it. So, please, I'm sure the president and his advisors know what to do. But you see, it just still tells you that same tale. That same tale. When corruption is hanging over your neck, okay? A cloud of corruption all over.
So this is the
thing
part
about
that the
Caesar's
president...
wife's test. Why should the president even put himself in a situation that raises corruption against him? Why? Why should President Akufo-Addo do that? When he was all over town here insulting everybody who came before him was corrupt. Everybody who came before him was corrupt. Insulted everybody. He is incorruptible. And now see, corruption is hanging all over him. Adoring.
So now I give you some
what
please.
let me give you some
breaking
news. Let me give you breaking news.
Yes.
The letter that Nana Asante Biodio has written and has brandished over social media, and they are doing gaga. We've threatened Al Jazeera. We've given them 7 days. I just checked. The letter has not reached Doha.
Wow.
The letter has not even reached the Ghanaian team in Ghana here representing Al Jazeera. So they are just throwing their weight about.
They have not.
They are just throwing their weight about.
They have not.
Nothing in it.
They have not. In fact, the last part of the letter says, please confirm receipt of this letter and your intention to take the necessary action as
They have not even sent the letters. It hasn't got
the request they were making.
A gimmick
to deceive Ghanaians that the president is angry with Al Jazeera. Can you intimidate Al Jazeera?
And lawyer, the request they were making was
Al Jazeera
that certain parts of the documentary that they earlier stated made, and this is in part of the letter, parts of the documentary that are malicious, defamatory, and a calculated attempt to tarnish the reputation of the president and the government of Ghana. This is in that green letter that Sami, you checked, you said that Al Jazeera's representatives here in Ghana says they have not received.
Yes, and the headquarters in Doha. Their number, Google Al Jazeera, their telephone number is there. Your media has called them. I am Alfredo Kansi calling from Media General in Ghana. Our president has sent a letter to you threatening you, giving you an ultimatum of 7 days to retract your Gold Mafia documentary as it relates to him. Have you received the letter? The answer will be no.
Yeah, so that is it.
It's not for you alone. I want him to finish for him to advise.
Yeah, it's good he made that. So look, Mr. Kansi, so it tells you that looking at the way this is just a gimmick to just, divert attention and to tell us that President Akufo-Addo is angry. Meanwhile, there isn't much substance to it. So the test we are using here is Caesar's wife's test. why would the president put himself in a situation that raises so much suspicion around him? Suspicion of corruption all over. Why would the president put himself in that position? So when you are using Caesar's wife's test, it means that the president has to resign. You see how Caesar, divorced his wife. When the wife put herself in a situation that raised suspicion of adultery. So Prez Akufo-Addo just has to go because he's caused us too much embarrassment. Too much. This is a man who held so much promise. We all thought we were going to be what? Liberated. The Messiah had come. He's turned out to be the worst. Oh.
We'll go for a quick break. We have to go for a quick break.
They don't want to hear.
we have to go for a quick break. When we are back, we'll round up on this conversation. There's an issue I need to take your... This is Key Point. We are live on 3FM 92.7, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. To establish the claims in here, returning character titles Glover, would a call for the national probe be one that you will support, or a dismissal of these claims, as has been the position so far, as communicated by the presidency at least?
Sitting here, and in a flash, I heard my brother Sammy saying that this time Tiamido is a good man.
No, I said
and
a good constitutional lawyer.
Please. Somebody you have described so negatively some time past, with all because I was in Parliament when we vetted him, when he was put to straight proof of the kind of things that he said against JDM, and my colleagues Okujato, Ayariga, Haruna Drisu were put him to straight test. You call him all kinds of names, but today, hallelujah, you have changed your mouth. To God be the glory. Somebody is saying that the letter that Beditu wrote to Al Jazeera, has not reached. And for that matter, we are only throwing dust into the eyes.
He makes reference to
throwing dust into the eyes of the people. This is a serious business. Somebody, a fugitive, right, has said something against the president. And his lawyer and his secretary has written, because they are not going to chase for his those who went to bail him. Is that the case?
2014, that has been concluded.
It has been concluded?
Yeah, he actually won the case in Dubai.
Okay.
And got a judgment
but
of about 9 million.
He still wanted in Ghana?
No, the matter has been concluded. Yeah,
then I withdraw the word fugitive. So for Sami to say that the letter that Mr. Beditu wrote to Al Jazeera, if in the transmission it has not been received, it's a matter of time. We are here, and I'm sure they will respond to it appropriately. And he said he has a problem with the word the president used, that he doesn't remember, he doesn't recollect, and for that matter, that is what? An admission that the president is corrupt. Oh, Sammy?
Oh, did I say that?
No, that is inference. That's what you're saying. The fact that the president said he cannot recollect, or whether his legal firm handled him, so that indicts the president that he has corrupted himself.
Mean that it is
please,
true.
Sammy. People are watching us because I know the way you twist your tongue, the way you can do your propaganda and destroy. The fact that the president said, look, I cannot recollect. And if for 20 times, when you read the letter signed by Mr. Beditu, he said, look, the president has not been acting in private capacity from 2000, and that is a fact. He was an attorney general for 2001 to January 7, 2009. But in his private capacity...
Foreign minister after 4 years.
Fine. Yeah. He's saying that as a private lawyer in practice, he has not. Can you remember everything? You cannot. So if he's saying that, look, I cannot recollect representing him, if he has not been to court, fine, like you are saying, but engage him in some legal advice or something he cannot remember, I don't think you need to fault him here. Look, at the time when he was not in his private practice, there are lawyers who are there. Lawyer Kotuampao, your senior, were there. Lawyer Kwene and Co were there. So they can furnish with all those information. And the man said, I don't recollect. Not even my firm And Sami want us to believe and admit that because the president cannot recollect this, and for that matter, he should be indicted for being corrupt. With all due respect, let us be very measured sometimes the way we go around some of these things, because it is not helpful. It is not helpful at all. Then again, as to the president saying that he trained what do you call it, Godfrey when he passed at the year 2003. The firm is there. The fact that personally he was not in the chambers to be going to court to practice, there are senior lawyers who are there. So if they are handling him in the training, it's by inference. You want to say that, yes, Akufo-Addo, I am proud to be part of the training of Godfrey Addo. So please, this matter as it stands, I have full confidence and believe in the president. Now he's saying that, look, if like Lawyer Kwebu said, the burden of proof is on Mathias to tell us exactly what matter he took before Prez Akufo-Addo, for him to advise him or to handle that matter, the legal matter for him. Is that not the case? It's very essential. The time is very important. The very matter that he took to Prez Akufo-Addo, when he has described him in the Aljazeera matter, he should let us know. Okay. Again, the president is also saying that you said I assisted you to get some deals. $100 million worth of contract. The date of the tendering, the type of tendering that was done, and let us all know all these things. Then we can be in the position to respond to your query that you've given to the president. What is wrong about this? If the lawyer of the president is asking Al Jazeera to furnish him with this information, and Sami Jefi, you have a problem, and Lawyer Kwebu, and since you are winding up, let me once again take this opportunity to apologize to Lawyer Martin Kwebu in the early beginning of my submission. I think that I went overboard. It is because the way he touched my adrenaline to attack the president that he has stolen